It's all good, everybody. Everybody, welcome back to the Jake Kennedy Show. Today's very special guest is Mickey Shuch of Carry Trainer. Mickey, how you doing?
I'm good, but aren't all your guests special? Do you go out and find unspecial people?
It's yes, yes, everybody's special,
Okay.
but
Thank you for having me.
we are in Woodstock, Illinois. We're about 30 miles from Lake Michigan, and you guys, it's about 20 degrees colder than I thought we were going to be colder because I went south to get here,
But then you went north.
but then I went north, and you have the lake effect, and it's 3 degrees today. I was like,
It was -7 when I got up.
so winter came in a hurry, I guess. But I usually start every podcast with a quick prayer, and then we can go from there.
Sure, it's your show, man.
All right, dear God, I just thank you for this day, and I thank you for Mickey coming and joining me on the podcast. God, I just pray for the conversation that's about to take place, and that the people watching would benefit from the information, and that we would just have a good time. In Jesus' name, amen. So one of the first things that I wanted to say to you was in regards to a Mickey-ism that stuck with me. Like within a year after taking your courses, I did a little bit of coaching for youth soccer, and I kept finding myself reaffirming whatever it was I said to them with a, yeah. Whenever we were on the range, it was always, you guys are putting your sights on the target, yeah?
That's a way of saying, are you or are you not?
And I was just like laughing because I kept finding myself saying that. And maybe, I don't know if you do this, but I was doing this too.
I don't do that.
But
no.
Either
That's
way.
some other weirdo.
One of the first things I have written down here, because you're a man of many, let me see if I can list them all. Coffee enthusiast, craft beef fan, firearms
Actually,
expert.
I brought you some. It's in the pocket of my other jacket. I brought you some beef in my pocket from Colorado Craft Beef.
Pocket beef. Mm-hmm. We need that.
I knew a girl in high school whose nickname was Pocket Beef. That's another discussion altogether.
No, dude, no. But
I just made that up. I didn't.
One of the first things I have here is you're someone who has taken a lot of shots in life. Wink.
So are you talking about me taking the shot or taking the shot
Here, let me read the whole thing. You're someone who has taken a lot of shots in life, literally and metaphorically. You have multiple businesses plus sponsorships. Was there ever a point where you could look out and see it was all going to work out? Was it taking a risk that worked out, or any failures along the way?
That's fun. I just interviewed a guy the other day, Jake, who super successful, and he just won his 4th tactical games. His name's Jacob as well. Jacob Hepner's his name. He's one of the top CrossFit guys in the whole world, top 10 CrossFit guys, and super hard charger. And one of the things that he left me with, which I pass on now, is basically you're going to fail way more than you succeed. And people always see the good stuff, they see him on the podium or they see his ripped body, but they don't see the injuries and the losses and the looking stupid and all that stuff. So if I had 2 notebooks, that wouldn't be enough to write all the failures. But I could maybe have half of a page to write the wins down. But that's life, though, right? Last night we were at our daughter's wrestling match.
Awesome.
She won, wrestled up a 20-pound weight difference so she could stay on varsity because there was too many people in her weight class, and she won. It was awesome. But there was a 2-minute match, and there was weeks of training, preparation. I mean, you train martial arts, so people see the 2-minute match. They don't see the weeks and weeks and
hours and hours and weeks.
Yeah. So there was lots of failures.
That's encouraging to hear, because this journey can be a pounding one sometimes, but
Is that what you feel? You feel like you're getting pounded?
well, I think that right now I'm in a valley in my perception in life. I talked with a guy who's also in recovery. I'm 7 years sober, and one of the things that we talked about was how comparison is the thief of joy, and your circumstance requires a lot of perspective. And when you come into a space of, so let's say one day I get to a spot where I'm like you or this guy, I told him he has a lot of the things that a guy wants in life. He has a wife, successful job, kids, family, nice haircut, good shape, all the things, right?
You've got a good haircut-ish. You're in shape. You have youth. I don't have that anymore, right? I'm pushing 50. What are you, 26?
29.
So you're almost 30, which is still, so, you could compare and compare and compare, but there's always a flip side. Like if I could go back 20 years, man, and know what I know now, I'd be president of my PTA. That was a joke, but
What is PTA?
yeah, Parent Teacher Association.
Oh, okay.
I shot low on that. I'd be president of the Greater Woodstock Tree Trimmers Association or something.
You said another one too, is like you and me are very similar in a lot of aspects.
Not
like,
really.
Well,
Not really.
you're a pastor's kid. I'm a pastor's kid, sort
Okay.
of.
All right. Sort of.
Well, my mom, she worked in the youth ministries at a church, and I was always helping her with that stuff. We're both into firearms. We're both into martial arts. We're both outdoorsmen. I don't know if you like cars as much as I do, but either way.
I like cars.
Yeah.
I drove one here.
Yeah. So we're similar in a lot of aspects. That was one of the things I was thinking, but we are very different in a lot of ways as
I'm
well.
funny. You're not.
And so, I mean, just to like finish that point, though,
Please,
like
I interrupted
your circumstance and comparing yourself to other people. I mean, I was sitting outside of a gas station the other day, and the point is to combat these perpetual thoughts of dissatisfaction in life. The perpetual dissatisfaction in life needs to be combated with gratitude and thankfulness. I was sitting in more wealth in my car than some people will ever get to experience in their whole life in certain places, right? I got to drive all the way here, afford this hotel, buy myself a nice meal at that Squire on the Square place last night, be in this cool town that Groundhog Day was shot in.
Did you get some shots while you were on the square?
I did take some pictures, yes. And I'm here interviewing you with equipment that is paid for. Like it's just.
These are nice microphones. Too.
Thank you. Yeah, they do. They sound pretty good. And so I
get one a little closer.
So it's just on this journey, right? I wanted to kind of hear you say that and like talk about, acknowledging like, hey, I'm sure there was going to be failures along the way, but without talking with others, and like if you just stay stuck in your own mind on those things, like that's where you'll stay. So
do you feel like you are dissatisfied with life?
I don't know if I'd say that, but
I mean, that's what you said you were feeling sitting in the car.
Well, no, it's just like, again, I think everybody goes through this at some point. And the thing is I'm going to be you, or I'm going to be successful in what we as Americans, I suppose, deem successful, having a career that is able to afford me a lifestyle that I consider, I don't know what the word is, satisfactory, that type of thing, have a house, have family, these types of things that we associate with success. And it's just part of the journey. Is not, I mean, you have to, I think God is maybe withholding some of the things, also making me work for it, right? Like you don't just get those things without putting in the work.
There is never something for nothing, but two dudes could go out on a plot of ground with a pickaxe and a shovel, and one could spend 50 years digging and get a pittance of gold, and one could hit the spot and pull a nugget out that big, and become hugely wealthy, and that could be just dumb luck too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's people that there's all kinds of products that we're wearing, like Gore-Tex and products like this that were like not on purpose, right? Like people just like came upon them, and all of a sudden they're like these amazing money-making schemes. So I don't disagree, though. I mean, I don't know if God's stopping you from doing that, because there's some really evil people that make money.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, nature has laws. Put a seed in the dirt, water it, protect it, and something comes out of the ground.
The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago or today.
Sure. Yeah. Who said that?
I don't remember,
Jacob?
but I saw it and was like, that makes sense. So I'm going to start podcasting now.
Is this number 2, 3, 4?
This is like episode 5.
Okay.
With a guest. And so, we are just plugging away, and I'm trying to just keep every week filled with somebody or something at least on the boards. And I want to do a live at some point. That'll be fun. I almost thought about doing it for this, but planning is key. Was there ever a point in your life where you realized that this being Carrie Trainer was what you wanted to do?
There's been lots of points in my life where there were things I wanted to do, I fell in love, made a family. I wanted to do that. Things change. I was a carpenter. There was a point in my life where that was like, I at night consumed trade magazines, and this is before the internet, and like apprentice books on construction, and mathematics books on engineering. And that was like my thing. I focused very hard on that so that I knew what I was doing. So I think those things, not everybody's like me, right? I've got friends, people like this is their thing. I've got 2 uncles that are like, one of them just retired like 47 years at the same company, right? One's like 40 years at the same company. I get bored, or maybe the next thing is present and I go towards that. But yeah, I one point decided this is what I'm going to do. And at one point I was still doing my construction business, and it's very hard to serve 2 masters, as it's said. So I had to let one go. Otherwise they both suffer. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, I mean, it kind of, I have another one that sort of, I have a few that'll touch back into it. You've told stories, and if you don't want to get into them, that's fine too. But you told a story on another podcast that really hit me about a childhood friend of yours that was rescued from a fire but was attacked by an assailant. And it was like a moment early on in your life that you kind of saw some really evil stuff. And it was like a thing that made you wish that that girl had access to training, tools, things that could have bought her you have a statement about awareness, which buys us time to react to the things that we, I guess, have coming at us. And that I'm not going to make you tell that whole story, ask you to tell that whole story.
I will tell part of it just so that the facts are laid bare. Her name was Beth Bosworth, and she was 15 years old. She didn't escape the fire. She died in it. She was stabbed over 50 times, and then the assailant lit the house on fire to hide his crime, but the fire was put out before the evidence was consumed, and he just died in prison in the last few years. His name was Dale Kauke. Mm-hmm. Her nephew was rescued, who she was babysitting, who was just an infant at the time. He made it out of the fire. Yeah, that was as a 14, 15, 16-year-old boy. I think she might have been 16 at the time. Had a huge impact on me. She was a dear family friend. She was my sister Karen's very best friend, and I've told the story more than once. But sadly, these people exist all over. There's stories like that all over. Mm-hmm. And she is one of 7 people that I know that's died by murder, which is pretty crazy because, as you can see, where I live is not downtown Chicago or Detroit. We're in the country.
Right.
So violence happens everywhere. So I did take it seriously that at the very least we can make people aware of the need to understand some of these things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
It does. It does. It gives a little bit more of the insight on.
Yeah.
Yes.
See what I did there? Yeah. That's what you were telling me when we started.
Yeah. And do you consider yourself a philosopher? I wanted to ask you that on camera because you have like a very, I interviewed Steve last week, or not last week, sorry, but a few weeks ago, and you two, maybe you're men of the same profession, but you have two very different, you're different people, obviously, and
Sure.
you have a very big internal desire for the why behind things.
You don't think Steve does?
No, I'm just like you. Your posts and the way that you talk is very different, and you post a lot of videos on your Instagram of people being attacked or showing these situations where, again, things like awareness and self-defense are critical or could have been critical knowledge pieces that these people could have utilized, or maybe somebody won the fight that didn't look like they were going to win the fight initially, right? And so to the question of philosophy, it's like you'll break down not just what happened, but what was going on internally in this person before that happened. You know what I mean? So like, what is it about Mickey Shuch that makes you you?
Couple things about that. I've never once thought of myself as a philosopher, but I mean, we all are in some ways, right? We all try to make, that's philosophy, making sense of the world around us, right? Through what we see, trying to assemble it into some framework. Steve, on that note, is actually a very deep thinker that is a big teddy bear. I mean, he reads poetry. He knows about literature and all this stuff. He's just, when you call yourself the Yeti, you've got to act a certain way, I think. But he's at home right now in the woods making stews and dicing onions and sautéing shallots and stuff. So don't let him fool you. But, I mean, there's different ways to approach things, right? There's different angles. And I've got a friend here in town. Her name's Lisa. She was a Division I, like, top 10 female basketball players of all time collegiately.
Okay.
I could be mashing up some of those stats, but she was really good, Olympic hopeful. She knows some stuff about basketball, right? But the way she approaches it might be different than one of the other top 10 girls. So I think people like Steve or everybody's got a way of looking at something. And kind of what I try to do is think about how we can back ourselves out of situations. That's really the thing that's important to me. How can we, the phrase you were talking about, which can be a mouthful, is awareness is the currency with which we buy time to act. So the farther out I can project my awareness externally in this world that we're sitting in and breathing air in, internally what's going on in Jacob's chest and heart, or even more so what's going on in others' heads and hearts, which is really a understanding body language and what people are doing. I'm not walking around scanning everybody thinking I understand what they're thinking about, but you're looking for things that are out of place, things that are off, things that don't make sense, cues of things that could be problematic. For example, when I open up the door to the hallway and see smoke and flashing lights, that's a cue that maybe I should be climbing out that window instead of going down the hall, right? So I don't know if there's much philosophy, as much of a philosophy as it is me trying to make sense of my time here on Earth. And if I fail 87,000 times, if I can learn from that, that's great. If you can learn from that, that's wonderful, because then you get the benefit without the pain. Yeah, right? And that's like the human experience. We all go, Hey, man, I wouldn't jump off of that. F you, man. I'm going to jump off of
Yeah,
that.
that is a hardcore subject in sobriety and recovery that's talked about. Uh, Touching the hot stove, learning the hard way. It's something a lot of us need to do. And even today, like there are things I know, um, and trying to do things perfectly just isn't always the way to. I mean, like you may know the right answer to something, but in order to truly believe it or in order to accept it, I think sometimes it is necessary for us to learn the hard way, which is tough. But
Thomas, you're quoting, you're praying here. Remember, Jesus, he said, I'm not going to believe it till I touch the holes in his hands. Remember that story?
yes, yes.
Like, I'm right here, dude. Go ahead. But I got to touch it. Fine. Go ahead and put your finger in my hole.
But this next question I have here
You didn't want
is,
to touch that one, did you?
well, I know you, Mickey, and I'm just I keep it moving. Do you before I answer or before this next question, do you consider firearms a martial art?
Sure, 100%.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I mean, you've heard my speech on that.
Your speech on that.
Every class we talk about it. What's a martial art? It's this. What's martial? It's Mars, right? The god of war. It's the study of war. And so, I'm not pretending that we're teaching people war, but nothing's more warlike than brandishing a weapon and making holes in another human being to stop them from violence. Or impose your will for whatever reason. So yeah, it's definitely can be codified into a martial craft.
And the question here is, what has martial arts, firearms training done for you outside of your career?
It's interesting. I was just thinking about this the other day. It's done a lot of things, and at different phases, based on my intellect or maturity or immaturity, it's very easy to get ahead of our skis and think because we know a little something that we're capable or that we're worthy or that we're possibly like more than we are. Martial arts can be very humbling, especially if it's a practice of martial arts like you and I do, grappling arts or certain striking arts. There are bullshido arts, like the stuff that you can't really test because somebody will die. So that stuff's kind of crap, and you get a false sense. But true martial arts, like these arts where you can have two people who are not willing to allow the other one to just impose their will, and you can do it in a safe manner, sparring. You learn real quick that besides the fact that there are a bunch of people out in the world that can hurt you, even untrained people, right? It's untrained people that are strong and violent. It can impose their will. It humbles you to understand a million things. Like, regardless of what I know, it doesn't diminish the work you put in, hitting a bag or hitting mitts or sparring. Like those skills you earned, I can't make them go away. Mm-hmm. So the camaraderie, the friendship, I think the part that is maybe most profound to me is that without a training partner who is willing to give me full access to their body, literally, I might accidentally pop you in the face or hit you in the groin, which of course we're trying not to do. Without you being kind enough to give me access, I can't develop this skill to protect myself. And in return, I'm giving you access to my bits and pieces.
Which kind of leads me into a point about training. And I asked one of the pros from our gym the question about sparring and the tempo. And I consider grappling jiu-jitsu to be, if I ever get hurt, it's usually more of an accident. Like there's a difference between me like throwing a jab at your face as hard as I possibly can to like intentionally, hurt you. There's a tempo that things go. Whereas in jiu-jitsu, if the only times I feel like I've ever gotten hurt was where like maybe I was the training dummy and maybe my coach didn't feel me tap and it was, I don't know. It just feels like there's less opportunity, the moving mechanics of kickboxing. It just, there's so many more variables that I feel like can lead to injury than in a jiu-jitsu setting. Do you agree?
I mean, I've seen a lot of people get really injured doing both. That little coach didn't hear you tap. Whose fault is that? I mean, tap harder, use your mouth. Tap, right? I'll see guys like tap the mat. Screw that, man. Tap me. I can't hear the mat getting tapped. My ears are smoked from gunfire. So, part of that's a shame on you thing, but I've seen dudes get their noses folded over sideways in sparring sessions.
Yeah.
I've seen hands get broken, concussions. So I think you've got to be a good training partner. But you learn about, through the process of training, if you have good people, you learn how to be a good training partner.
Right. One of the next things here, which we'll probably touch back on martial arts in a second, but you're very blessed. You have a lot of sponsorships, right? You have guns that I'm sure cost more than what I'm going to spend in ammo next year. And so right now I am trying to, and like, this is a point I kind of wanted to make for the viewers, is being smart with your training. Also, it as your hobby, right? Like, you want to have fun and you want to do it and be able to afford it, because guns stuff is expensive. And so, like, for instance, this AAC ammo company just halted production on their ammo for at least a year, but until they can get a new supplier for their powder.
Halted production for civilians, I believe.
Right. Yeah. Right. They have to fulfill their military contracts. So they're, like you said, halting production for civilians. And even if they do pick that back up in a year, if they are getting a new supplier for their powder, that's probably going to affect the way that ammo shoots. And I was going to do a video on a pocket carry that I'm running right now for an LCP Max, and I was going to buy some AAC as one of the ammos that I test to just kind of see how it groups. But if I am aware of the fact that that company's ammo is not going to be available for at least the next year, and then by the time it comes back, it might not shoot the same, it wouldn't make sense for me to invest money and time and energy into seeing how that ammo works when I know something like PMC or Blazer or Fiocchi or whoever is Supervel, who you are sponsored by. I was going to use their ammo to test as well. And so, do you agree that something like that is a valid point, right? Like, I shouldn't invest money in things that I know aren't going to be around for me to be able to count on if I'm trying to be smart with my time and money.
Couple things. You use the word blessed with sponsorships. There is not something for nothing. So people don't just come to me and they're like, hey, you want a bunch of money and stuff? You work your butt off, and people don't just give me stuff. In fact, I turn things down. This isn't a pat on the back. Companies, it's cheaper for a company to give you a $2,000 widget that you make a video about and 1,000 people see it. It's cheaper than that than to go get a full page ad in a gun magazine for 10 grand. And more people will see it, and that magazine goes in the trash. So it's good sense for these companies to do that. But I also only work with brands like Supervel or Colorado Craft Beef that I believe in. So there's got to be a synergy there. So just to make sure that we understand that this isn't just some like thing where people just send me stuff. But yeah, I wouldn't invest in anything that you don't have like a long-term commitment to, except to just buying a box of 9-ball to plink. If you're just I always would buy the best ammunition I can afford. I would rather shoot the junkiest steel case stuff from, wherever than nothing. But today is what, the 5th of December?
Yes.
So pretty timely. Anybody listening to this right now, I'd go out and buy ammo, because ammo costs are going to double in the next few years. They actually should be. The stuff that goes into making ammunition to buy a round of 9mm for 19 cents every trigger pull is nuts. It should cost way more. And people say, no, that's nuts. It shouldn't cost that much. I mean, people are having to pull copper and lead and all of these metals out of the ground and assemble all these components. So I would be, I don't want to say stockpiling, but if you could afford to buy a couple hundred rounds of ammo every month and throw a case on the shelf in the basement in a safe spot, I would. And I'd go to Supervel to do that. But, I mean, if what are you trying to do with the ammo, right? Like AAC, for example, there are 1,000 ammunition makers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I wouldn't probably sweat that.
That's fair.
Those companies also doing a press release like that is also their way to say, guess what? We're really important. We've got a bunch of government contracts. They make more money off of the civilian sales though. So what are they really that thoughtful?
Is that different for the firearms side than the ammo side? Because one of the points Steve made was for a company like Daniel Defense, maybe, the civilian market sales are not enough to keep a company like that in business.
Sure.
So, like, having government contracts is how they stay.
Not to mention when you get one contract that's 6 figures or 7 figures, and yeah, you've got this guaranteed income stream.
Yes.
You're able to go get financing. You're able to leverage support from banks. Not every company is structured the same way. And there's smaller companies that are doing, what do you want? There's companies that are doing $10, $20 million a year, $50 million a year. And there's companies that are doing 5, 10 times that, but they have 5, 10 times the cost. You know?
Yeah.
What is it that the owner or the board or the partners are after?
Right.
Like world domination and make as much money as possible, or are they just trying to have a good life and make good products? So
right. Employees to pay, all
sure,
of that.
Sure.
So to briefly go into some of your past career, and you don't kind of brand yourself as a political guy, but you've spent time in politics in this state here in Illinois, right? And
I wouldn't say I don't brand myself as a political guy. I just don't make my bones on the internet complaining about politics.
right. And you mentioned stuff like steel case ammo. This is really quick, just 2 seconds. Do you think something like that Russian ammo ban could ever get repealed?
Sure. I mean, you don't drink, but once upon a time we had prohibition where there was no alcohol allowed in the country, and then it went away, right? So that's one of the few amendments to the Constitution that have happened in the hundreds of years since our existence. So if we could change the Constitution, we can surely change an import-export law.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I think that's a good thing, and I know some people will push back from that. I don't have any. There's other things at play, such as, do we want to support these manufacturers of ammunition that are using the money that we are giving them when we buy their ammo to fund war against Christians, good people, whoever? Because it's not like these ammo manufacturers, the war machine around the world doesn't care who buys their stuff.
That's right. I wanted to kind of maybe, while we're in the politics vein, sort of talk about just the overall kind of look at the country. And we're in Illinois. Charlie Kirk was from here. Mm-hmm. Nick Fuentes is kind of like, I know they were at odds, but it seems like the torch has almost been passed to him. And I want to say this, like, because I started making my videos again on this channel right around the time that his assassination happened. And I mean, for everybody that I think I've talked to in regards to this has said, conservative, liberal, doesn't matter. Like, this is a guy who, I didn't agree with everything he said, but, a champion of the First Amendment first and foremost. And I think being able to come on here and make videos and say whatever I want, have conversations with whoever I want, is something that he was literally like one of the front runners of. And you met him, and
Yeah, many times. Yeah, I mean, he's from only about 30 minutes from here. Yeah.
so you know, with I was watching all these different interviews, and I've watched a lot of different political interviews on kind of what is happening in the country and in the world. A lot of immigrants have come here in just a short amount of time in like the last few years, and we look at kind of these different shifting landscapes of who's the majority and who's not. You've talked about our founding fathers and like kind of what their original intentions for some of these amendments are, and for us as a nation right now, and as it pertains to kind of, you post the videos all the time of the people like maybe getting robbed or getting in trouble. How important is self-defense slash firearms training, not only as a personal perspective, but for somebody in states like maybe California or New York, where these kinds of things are less, and when I say these kinds of things, I mean firearms, less supported. Um, what would your message to them be as somebody in a state like Illinois, where you did a lot to help move things forward for the Second Amendment?
Lots to unpack there. Rip Charlie. People say he died for the First Amendment. He died because somebody murdered him. The Bill of Rights has nothing to do with me versus you, right? So whoever shot him didn't defy like his First Amendment right. I'm not saying you said this, but people keep talking about it, so I figured I'd mention it. The First Amendment protects us from the government, not us from each other. So if somebody murdered him, right, regardless of who it was, it had nothing to do with the First Amendment. But no matter where you're at, you have a right to defend yourself. If you're in Queens, New York, or if you're in LA, or if you're in Anchorage, Alaska, or Miami, or Topeka, Kansas, you have a right to defend yourself. The caveat is how you do it. And we have a real big issue with reading comprehension in America. And I'm being a smartass because for some reason we think that our founding fathers created a government that gave no teeth to the legislature to create laws, which they did. There were anti-firearm laws from day one. Before the Union existed, there were laws prohibiting where powder could be stored. There were laws about having hidden daggers in your cloaks. After the formation of the states, there were all kinds of laws about carrying of weapons in towns and things like that. So that's happened since day one. But if you and I went to Walmart down the street right now and we, I don't know, grabbed a rocket launcher and went in the store, there are people that think that that's an acceptable expression of the Second Amendment because they feel that anything you should be able to own, an M16 to a tank. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I don't know if the founders thought that we shouldn't own a tank. But logic would tell me that carrying around a rocket launcher might not be the best way to defend myself at Walmart because the tool doesn't really equal the task. And just like if I was going to demolish this whole building, I would not get a hammer. I'd get a backhoe, right? And so that's a backhoe for demolishing a dollhouse, right? I can use the hammer for the dollhouse. I can use the backhoe for the big building. And it's a foolish argument that folks think that government doesn't have the right. We, the people, gave them the right to create these laws. Now, there's a bunch of nonsensical anti-gun laws that need to be repealed, that do get repealed. But regardless of where you live, if you are in a place that doesn't allow you to put a gun on your hip like I have one now, you've got options. Break the law, which I don't suggest. I just shared a video yesterday. A dude in Queens, New York, just got sentenced to 4 years in prison because he defended himself 2 years ago in Queens. A guy attacked him. He defended himself with a revolver. The attacker died. He was not charged with a crime for shooting the guy. Once the cops looked at his gun, they realized that it was an illegally owned revolver, not registered in New York. They charged him with 26 counts of unlawful possession of weapons. They gave him one count as a plea deal, and he's going to prison for 4 years. He's 67 years old. That seems stupid to me. I mean, the whole case is stupid, but he lives somewhere that has these laws. He chose to live there, and laws are nothing more than like an agreement. When you signed into this hotel, you signed a waiver that said, I won't trash the walls, I won't pee on the carpet, I'll pay the frickin' damages if I spill my coffee or whatever.
Right.
That's all laws are. So is it important if I live in New York or California to train myself? Sure, but you just might have. Do you have an issue?
No, I was just double checking to make sure it was still going, and it is. Keep going.
Do you, regardless of where I'm at, I mean, you drove places today that your concealed carry law where you live doesn't apply here. You still might have a need to defend yourself. People go to courthouses, airports. I walk in the police station in my hometown, right? Places that I might not have the lawful right to have a gun, a post office. And the argument is, well, those laws are dumb. Fine. You can call them dumb, but that doesn't stop this dude from going to jail. So you can rationalize away the law, but that's like telling the fire, don't burn me. I defy you, fire.
Yeah.
So it's stupid. So fight the law on one hand, but then understand the parameters. There's plenty of people. I go to California and run classes. There are ways to train. And don't forget, you still got your 2 hands, your 2 feet, your elbows, your knees. There's other ways of fighting yourself, fighting to defend yourself. So I would love to see many gun laws repealed, though.
Yeah. No, you hit that right on the head.
One more caveat to that. The reason these laws exist isn't because of you and me. It's because people shoot each other in traffic. People shoot holes in buildings like this. People shoot out their back window. People do all kinds of stupid stuff. That's the same reason speed limits exist. Because people can't handle liberty and they do dumb things and create damages to people.
Is there I thought there was a resource, and maybe it was just one of those Instagram. There's a million people trying to make $1 million out there on every community. Mm-hmm. But I thought there was a place, maybe one, where you could go to see, because I didn't bring my firearm with me on this trip, but because I don't know the laws here. And so is there a place that you can go to see, like state by state, mm-hmm. okay, where can I carry? Am I cool to carry my gun in my pocket? Or
my buddies at Concealed Carry Inc., which is out of Colorado. They're in Arvada, Colorado. They have a book and an online resource for that, Concealed Carry Inc. Jacob Polson owns that company. Check out Concealed Carry Inc. They also sell tons of great products, medical kits, dry fire stuff. They own a holster company. They've got all kinds of cool stuff. So
that's
check
good.
them out.
I need that. When is the last time you took a firearms class as a student?
Well, technically, every time I do a collaborative class, like I just taught 2 classes this fall with my friend Z, every time I'm with him, he runs half the class. I'm paying attention. I get up on the firing line when he's teaching. So quite often, it has been a little bit. I need to jump into one. I do a lot of other stuff, medical related. So mm-hmm. I've been back in college at numerous times in the last 10 years with emergency medical training. Stuff like that, I have dug more into at my free time. It's not that I know everything. I just have not made the time. But I need to jump into a class. I think I'm going to jump into one of Steve Fisher's shotgun courses.
I've taken one of those, and I highly recommend it. So have you noticed...
I was just at the Revolver Fest that Brian Eastridge puts on out in South Carolina. So I was at that event just last month.
What type of revolver were you using?
I had my J frame. I was actually there filming. So I was there. We were selling our coffee. Not selling. We were providing our coffee. But I went to each of the blocks of, I don't know, 8 guys teaching. And so I absorbed from each of them. Guys like Greg Elifritz, Chuck Haggard, Brian, Justin Dial, Wayne Dobbs.
Is there a platform that you stick to, or is there like a favorite platform of yours, pistol or rifle? I've seen you on the range with 43Xs, Berettas. Are you an AK guy? Like, do you have like a favorite, or like even right now, I'm excuse me, I'm addicted to like 380 little pocket pistols for whatever reason right now. I just like them.
I've got a wiener joke in here, but I won't do it because I know that you don't.
I mean, I'm not going to stop you, but the 380 pistols, pocket pistols, like I said, right now, that's just like what I'm running and what I'm into.
What kind?
I have that LCP Max, but I'm looking at, and this is a bigger gun for the caliber, but Beretta 84 BBs are on sale pretty cheap right now.
A little Beretta 84. It's a sweet little gun.
Beautiful, like some of the most beautiful guns. I was going to ask you too, like what your favorite like looking pistol or rifle is, because yeah, Berettas are beautiful. I want that little 84 BB. They're like 280 right now, roughly ish. And Walter PPKs, PPKSs, those are beautiful guns. And just seeing how they shoot, again, testing different ammos. And that's like my thread that I'm pulling in firearms, in my fandom, I guess you could say, or in my hobby for these. These guns aren't toys, right? But
yeah, but you dig them. It's like a guy wrenching on his car, swapping the drum brakes to disc brakes, and having fun playing with stuff. Yeah.
So is there a platform or like where are you in your, because you're many fans of many things, but like in your gun journey right now?
I like 2 things. I like cool, and cool means different things to different people. I've got friends that I love Cerakoted, super blingy, frickin' blue anodized grips, and like that kind of stuff is to me. But if you like that, it's cool. You can like stupid stuff. That was a dismissive joke. But I don't really care for that kind of stuff. I was just with a friend of mine that had this. I mean, it was like just, to me, gaudy. I don't like jewelry. I like things that are simple. Give me an old blued Smith & Wesson or Colt revolver. I've been into revolvers before I was into semi-automatics. I had revolvers. My first gun was a shotgun, a pump, so I've got more experience behind pumps than any gun. A Glock. I've got a Glock on my hip right now. I like things that are simple. I don't know everything, but I've broken so many guns, Berettas, Glocks, you name it. The SIGs, you wear them out.
Yeah.
And that's cool. So you start to figure out, okay, what's most likely to break, what's harder to fix or harder to get parts for. And kind of like a motorcycle or a car, why do you drive a Ford or why do you drive a Chevy? You figure out what you want to deal with, what parts you want to have to, work on and take care of, and then it is what it is. So I like Glock. I love my Radian rifles. They're nauseatingly reliable. Truth be told, though, I've got a Smith & Wesson M&P I bought 20 years ago that's got a gazillion rounds through it, and it's beat to death, and it still holds like a 2-minute group at 100 yards. So that's pretty good for a rifle that probably cost me $400.
For you to know that at 100 yards is something on its own, too. You're doing pistol groups at 100 yards.
No, rifle. That was
Smith & Wesson. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. So, like, I mean, and I am an AK guy, so I mean.
I love AKs. I've got some. You know where you're close to right now? You ever heard of Krebs Custom? So Mark Krebs is 20 minutes down the road.
Is he really?
In Wakanda. You might have to stop on your way home. It's kind of on your way home.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll do that. I didn't know he was here. But yeah, I mean, I have to ask everybody, right? Because in different spheres, different, YouTubers that I follow. I don't know if you're like super, well, you are in the YouTube space. You
Yeah, I
put
think we've got
videos.
370,000 subscribers, big boy.
So, you're,
That was the douchiest thing I've said this whole recording.
well, it's good to know. I mean, you got your gunfighter, gun oil stuff. I've seen the videos that you've done on there. And I don't know. I'd like to maybe get you and someone else. I want to interview some of these other gun tubers. I
I'm
mentioned,
not a gun tuber.
what would you defy the difference in? Like,
It's not an insult to them. My purpose is not to just create gun content. That was dismissive, but that's the way I see it. We're trying to pass on meaningful information to help people make better choices to protect themselves, as well as something that's going to help them enrich their life through knowledge. I mean, some of these guys just take guns, they blow soda cans up and stuff, and that's fun. I fell asleep last night watching a video of a guy restoring a wood boat. I like to watch things like that, but so I'm not dismissing if people like that stuff. But yeah, man, to me, there is no number one thing because everything has a limitation. Guys say revolvers don't break. Of course they do. I've got 3 broken revolvers sitting on my workbench that I have to take apart and order parts for. People say Glocks don't break. Of course they do. There are just certain guns. If anything was the best, everybody'd have it. Like, there's a reason, people won't agree with me, there's a reason Ford sells more trucks than any other vehicle in America. The Ford F-150 is like the widest sold vehicle in America, or it was for decades. Pardon me whacking your microphone. There's a reason that other vehicles don't sell as much, and it could be marketing, but the better stuff rises to the top. There's a reason Glock is the widest sold pistol on the planet. And the Beretta, for example, I love them. They are a little bit more money, but it's just, there's a lot more going on with it.
yes.
And some people like that. I like it, but if you and me were like, hey, we just have to grab one gun off the table and it's our last gun, give me a Glock 45 or a Glock 47, and we're just done.
I wanted to make a joke.
Let's hear it.
Glock 50, Glock 69, Glock 100. Like, what? I didn't even know where I was going to go with it, but it was just kind of a funny thought because they are running out of ideas now, right?
I don't know why people hate on them for that. All that they're doing is trying to refine the mousetrap, and I'm not like a Glock fanboy. I might sound like it. It is a ridiculously simple mechanism that's been so refined. The fact that people don't get that, oh, I hate Glock. What you're saying is that you hate a ridiculously affordable and reliable tool. I mean, it is the most idiotic statement. And then people are like, oh, what are they going to do next? Just make the same thing? They're making minor tweaks to try to slightly improve. It's like the T-shirt that you're wearing. And like, there's companies that like, we make a better T-shirt. Well, what'd you do? They like open the shoulders. They change the littlest. Still a freaking T-shirt.
Yeah.
But they're just making it fit better.
And there's a million aftermarket companies that, I mean, they just changed their, I guess it's just their vision, like for California, I guess they were trying to make their guns not have switches, which of course somebody figured out how to do that within not very much time, on those being the new Glock V series pistol being their new thing. It's like we have all of the aftermarket parts that are now, I don't know if they're going to just stop making parts for any Gen 3, Gen 2, Gen 1, Gen 4, Gen 5. I doubt it. But, we have like companies like the Glock 26X frame from the Glock store came out. Axis Arms, I think, is the name of the company that already made it.
I don't keep up on all that stuff.
But like, it's just kind of, I guess part of it is the thought being, is there a gun that we haven't made yet? Is there something that you said it, like they're trying to refine it into just a better version of what's already there. And is there something that we need to invent? Is there something in your eyes that's not there on the market currently?
There is a gun I'm not allowed to talk about, made by one of the major pistol manufacturers, that'll be coming out in the next probably 12 months, that may be like the sweet spot for a compact, higher capacity 9 ball. So think 365, think 43X with a 15 round mag.
Factory?
Factory,
Okay.
all factory. No, not you won't need an aftermarket mag. There's a top of the line company that's working for a couple years so that it'll be like tested a million times over. So I think that space, there's a lot to improve. You're never going to make everybody happy,
No.
right?
Yeah, I think that's pretty right on. I like I said, pocket pistols are, I think, becoming more popular.
Everything is full circle. Revolvers were dumb. Now revolvers are cool again. Single stacks were dumb. Now single stacks are the sex. Lever actions were arcane and dumb.
Now they're dope.
Now they're, exactly. Pump guns were dumb. Now they're cool. And now all these companies, Smith & Wesson just put a new advertisement up. They've got this cool wood stocked. It looks like an M1, like a 30 carbine, and it is a 9mm. It's a wood stock. Kind of a beautiful gun. That stuff has become sexy again.
You love wood.
I love wood and leather. Yeah.
I love wood. But
was that a dick joke?
No, but I knew you were going there.
Well, you said it 3 times.
It's so sort of in closing, but just to kind of say, with that people have joked about, because there's so much hatred in the country right now. You see these videos of liberal people going to gyms and like learning how to do self-defense stuff. Have you noticed liberal people taking your classes more?
I think I was on Instagram this morning. You and I probably follow some of the same pages. DC Drano was the page. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
No. Maybe, but just don't remember.
Page. Is he a congressman? Anyway, he reposts a lot of stuff. And he posted a video that said Trump repeals tax to allow, do you know what a Toyota Hilux is?
Oh, yeah.
So it said that the Hilux will now be allowed in America $14,000 to buy the truck. So there's thousands of comments. I'm going to buy 4. This is amazing. And it's a video of this totally customized diesel Hilux with like 35-inch mudders and like this custom steel welded bed backing out of a garage. This is a $120,000 truck, right? I do like 2 seconds of Google foo. There is no such repeal of anything. The only reason that truck is not allowed in the U.S. is it doesn't meet safety standards for crashes, and it doesn't meet emission standards. Otherwise, that truck could be sold here. It's a death trap if you get in a crash is why it's not sold here. Mm-hmm. Anyway, nobody cares that this is fake. They just read this and they go, I want that. And I'm not even talking about AI. You or I could with our phones, could make a post that said, this person just got assassinated, or this Congress lady just said this crazy inflammatory thing. And if you make it look professional and you put it out there, people will share it all over social media. People will believe it, not because they're stupid, but because we're humans, right? We compare ourselves to lemmings. Are there bad liberals? Sure. And there are bad conservatives. I was recently at an event where several guys, I have family members that are Jewish. I have family members that are born in the country of Africa, the continent of Africa, the country of Uganda. I have blood relatives, right, that are these things. And these guys were talking, they were straight up like KKK. And they thought I was down with it because I had a gun on my hip. So I'm looking at them and I'm like, are you kidding me? And they're like, it's cool, man. Like, you can say whatever. I'm like, then you're a effing idiot. Like, that's what I'll say. And they were God-fearing gun guys. No, there are evil people that bow their head before they pray. There are evil people that have every moniker in front of or behind their name. So I think that our real problem is if we went to the town square here. So this town um, was the like center of dairy farming when I was a kid. It's very liberal now. There's a huge gay pride parade on that square now. I bet you if we went there during the pride parade and just grabbed like 10 people and said, hey, when you're done, could we just go have a chat like this? And we sat down. I bet you that you would agree with a lot of things that these people think about. Not even talking about the parade or any of that. I bet you that you would find a lot of things in common. And I don't know what those things might be. Could be for you and me good food or good music or something like that. Family, community. We find these divisive things and then we just pick. And so if everything I saw, and this is a true fact, your social media feeds feed you the things that make you angry and pissed off. They feed it to you. And it's on purpose because those feelings make you go look for more and you go, look at this shit, look at this shit, look at this shit. Of course you're going to be upset. A man is what he thinks about all day long. So if all day long I think these gun-toting MAGA people are trying to kill me, I'm going to rightly want to protect myself. If all day long I think that these pedophile, homosexual people are trying to rape my children, I'm going to want to keep my kids away from those people. Are there really bad MAGA gun toters out there? Hell yeah. Are there some creepy pedophile homosexual people that want to hurt kids? Heck yeah. There's also a whole bunch of people that love Donald Trump and love Jesus and are good people and don't want to hurt anybody. And there's people that are married to people that are the same sex and just want to be left alone. So I have seen people on both sides coming out because we're scared when the truth is, Martin Luther King's life was all about this. Understand each other, And you might find a person that I understand you and I don't like you. Cool. Now we know where we stand. We've all met somebody like that. I see you for what you are. I don't want you in my life, right? Or I don't need to have dinner with you, but I can still be respectful. I was at a restaurant a year ago maybe, sitting next to, so I was the vice chairman of the Republican Party here in this county. At the same time, a friend of mine was the vice chair of the Democratic Party. We're still friends, and we would sit, we'd have coffee. We were literally, according to the books, arch enemies, right? Like my job was to elect people for the Republican Party. Hers was to elect people for the Democratic Party. Her name's Mary Margaret Mall. She runs an organization here called Turning Point. The whole purpose of the organization is to help abused women or some psycho guys beating the crap out of the wives. They help get them out of the house. They find them support. Is she a bad person? Her life is literally, she could go make a lot of money because of her career and her education. She could go work at some big corporation as a CEO or CFO. She works at this non-for-profit so that abused women can get help and then help find them jobs and support. Is that a bad person? And she was the vice chair of the Democratic Party. And so I think too often we don't see the forest, right, through the trees. We pick out the one tree, that big rotten thorny thing right there, and I hate that thing, and that's all we see. We don't see the beauty of the forest.
That's a really good point. I feel like if you were to ask someone like me right now, if you were to ask what is the difference between liberals and conservatives in America right now, or a Republican and a Democrat right now, like they'll say things like, we want all the same things, we just don't agree on how. Or I feel like we maybe see each other like, okay, the difference between like maybe the biggest differentiating factors between Republicans and Democrats. I guess Democrats are like super, I feel like the LGBTQIA plus stuff and I don't know, maybe immigration or something like that are like the two pinnacle differences that separate the Democrat liberal person from conservatives. Otherwise, I guess maybe getting things like affordable health care and stuff like that. It's like we like those things. Conservatives would like those things too. It's just instead of like taxing or I don't know. I feel I just wanted to sort of hear you speak on that, and I think you did a good job of kind of highlighting. Yeah, we do pick out those big things that we see as differences, and then maybe make them out to be the whole thing.
You know, you mentioned immigration a couple times. I wouldn't be here if not for immigration.
Mm-hmm.
All of my family came from Europe, Ireland, Germany, Austria, you know, France, Luxembourg. They all took a boat ride across the Atlantic, and we're such short-sighted people. It was not that long ago that the streets of New York were flooded by Irishmen or Italians, and then they moved their way across the country. And as a new wave of people would come, the ones that were already there said, you know, what the hell? All these mix are coming. All these Irish mix, or you know, all of these wops, all these Italian, you know, freaking noodle eaters, and they beat each other up. And it's the exact same thing as with the Great Expansion. We moved westward and we conquered lands. We've been here for 50 years. Now these people are coming here trying to settle. Like, this is the expansion of humanity. That's how we ended up all over the world. And there is a right and a wrong way to do it. Those people that came and got off those boats in New York signed papers, you know, right? They did there's plenty of them as time changed, just crossed borders and came here before we had such things as immigration offices and things. But we're pretty short-sighted.
Yeah.
No, I think don't climb across borders, though, and expect to be handed all of your meals and housing and all these things either.
Doing things the right way. Cutting in line is not, you know, if somebody's been waiting their whole life to get here and they do it the proper way, and then again, we have ICE agents and stuff going around and taking people back home. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah, it sucks, but it's also, there was a process that you didn't follow and now you're paying the consequences.
Kind of like that guy in New York that's sitting in the clink for 4 years.
Who's that?
That guy I told a story about.
Oh.
You know, had he followed the law and just had a different means of defending himself, he wouldn't be in prison. He'd be looked at as a hero. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's pretty much all of my questions. Do you have a message or something that you'd like to say to the people, if you want to plug yourself or any companies that you'd like to shout out?
I appreciate that. I appreciate that you had me. You drove a long way to be here, and that means a lot to me. I wouldn't have missed it for the world. I'm very proud of you that you are following what you want to do. That's cool. It's too easy to, and maybe here's the message. I'm nobody special. You paid me some very nice accolades at the beginning, but I struggle. You know, I'm still trying to figure all this stuff out. What we put online anybody with a phone can make themselves look a certain way on the internet. And if people choose to click the subscribe button, it doesn't mean that you've got it all figured out, right? So I'm constantly learning. I've had the support of wonderful people. Drew worked with me for nearly a decade editing and cutting videos. I got Bennett that works her ass off. Kanan works his ass off, and many others. Alberto and MJ and Tyler film and work on that stuff. None of it means anything if you don't get in the car and drive across the country. You know, people won't do that, and that's the thing. Well, do you just want to film it on the internet?
Yeah. I was asked, why don't you just and there's a different level of, what's that Bible verse?
We can touch.
Where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am with them. I'm not saying that, even if you weren't a Christian, you know what I'm saying?
God's just sitting right here, right now.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. Not to interrupt you, but.
No, you're not. I think that the message is we're here for just a little while. So if you're not going to, not everybody wants to be a podcaster, but you know, you want to freaking figure out how to run a 4-minute mile. You ain't going to do it sitting on the couch. You want to go get the girl. You ain't going to do it sitting on the couch. You want to make the money. You ain't going to do it sitting on the couch. So you've got to go engage in the business of living, whatever the heck your thing is. And you're going to screw it up. Go get after it. Take joy in the failure.
For sure. Well, if it's all right with you, I'm going to just close with one more word of prayer, and then I appreciate you coming out, man.
Cool, man. Thank you.
Dear God, I thank you for this day. I thank you for Mickey. I just pray for him and all of his business endeavors and everything he's working through and working with right now, the people he's pouring into, the people pouring into him, God. For this journey we're on, for the journey that the viewers are on, God, that you are with us. And I appreciate just being able to have this moment with Mickey and here for everyone. I just have a heart of gratitude for it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. I forgot to give you something. Anyway, you're going to shake my hand. I brought you, because I know that you're into linked meats.
Oh, yeah.
There's a snack for the ride home, Colorado craft beef. And I brought you have to grind it yourself. Some of our coffee, we just roasted that. That's our dark roast, Ignis Lux. So our roastery's right here in town. That's the next thing for us.
You used to work with a different company.
I didn't work with them, so interesting story. Well, I did work with them. It was a friend of mine. It was Armored Coffee.
Yeah.
Great dude. He was really influential in my life in a lot of ways. He was one of the guys that helped put together an organization called Mission 22. Have you ever heard of Mission 22?
I have not.
You've heard of this idea of 22 veterans a day committing suicide?
Yes.
So he was one of the guys that helped founded this awareness organization, Mission 22, who branched out and created an organization called Warrior's Heart, which is down in Texas. And it's a place for first responders and veterans to go to get treated for PTSD and substance abuse, things like that. He created that brand to raise money for Mission 22. And he just ran its course. He had other things in life. So he sold me all of his equipment. I was like, you're not going to do it anymore? I'm like, sell me your stuff. I can do this. So Bennett and I learned to roast coffee a few years back. And actually, it's won some awards. My mom gave me the award, but still an award anyway. It's really good coffee.
Well, that hits home for me. I had a friend who was a veteran pass very recently, and that's awesome that he was doing that. Do you know if that's still around in any capacity?
Oh, God, yeah, it's huge. Yeah, Mission 22 is huge.
Mission 22, if you're a veteran or anyone you know that is a resource that's available.
Yeah, Mission 22 is a huge organization, and then the component of it that provides treatment is Warrior's Heart.
Warrior's Heart. Okay.
Tom Spooner is the head of that organization, former Army Special Operations guy.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Thank you for having me. Till next time, take care. Be blessed. Have a good one.